Good morning, my name is Ryan Littlestone from forexflow.live. As most of you have seen, we've had a big move in the pound on the latest Brexit ruminations. Late last week, we got signs that Boris is willing to compromise on his side of the Brexit deal, and the EU are open to talking about it. We've seen the pound or cable rally from just a few pips under 122 all the way up to test 127 last week. A very big move. Now, as you know from the last few weeks, I've started to build a pound long here in pound dollar, purely on the basis that my view was that we would get a deal of some sort, or at the very least it'll be a soft exit rather than the hard exit that everyone had been looking at previously. So I've been, for the last probably 3 weeks now, been scaling into pound longs all the way down to 122.05 was my last entry last week. And here we are with a big bounce up on this positive Brexit news. Now, as we know in trading, we can't rely on anything, especially with Brexit. So it's pretty much still in the balance. So as we look at the charts at the moment, I've taken a look at the weekly chart. We can see that big move up, that big green candle there. It's taken us all the way back up, as I say, towards the 127 area. So the risk we have here is that this positivity ebbs out, or it gets punctured by the EU turning around and saying there's not going to be a deal, nothing works. So it's pretty symmetrical what can happen with the pound here. We could go either way. We could get a deal sometime this week before the summit, and the EU summit is later on this week. We could get a deal announced beforehand, or we could find out that nothing's going to happen. And the risk here is that the pound could rally all the way further. It could head up towards this 135 area, and it could just as easily head back down towards the 120s. So really, if you're trading this right now, if you're not in a trade already, you're going to want to look for the dips. But then the fear is that if you get a big dip, it's going to come with big news as the driver. So then all of a sudden, you're not going to fancy buying that dip, because obviously the picture might have changed. So if you are in longs already, what you need to look at is protecting those longs. We're still floating around this 125, 126 area at the moment. We're off the 127 highs. Volatility is up, so the market is going to swing more. We're going to move in 20, 30 pip clips now, rather than sort of 5, 10, 15 pip clips. So if you did manage to get on the longs below, what you need to do is find your levels to protect it. Now, down at 125 is one potential area, because we had that level on the way up, so it's likely to be a potential support point on the way down. So again, if you are long, that's the area to look at, maybe to take some profit off the table, or to stick your stops just under, just so if you're long from below that, you get some money in the bank. And then below there, we're looking pretty much at the 124, 123.80 area. And if we get sub that, then there's going to be some real bad news coming. So again, that's a line you may want to put some stops if you're long from below there. Again, just protect the money. You don't want to give back anything that you've already made. Now, for those of you who perhaps are not in a trade at all and want to get in on a dip, as I say, it's pretty difficult, because if you do get a big dip, it's likely to be driven by some bad news, and then you're going to be worried about buying it. So again, what you want to look at is that 120 area. If we start to head down there, depending on what the news is, that might be a level that you want to start building longs, maybe from 122, 123. Start building small longs into the summit or into the end of the month, if it's looking like a soft deal, or a deal is still perhaps on the table. Now, if it all ends up that there's not going to be a deal, there's nothing, we're going to crash out of Europe on the 31st October, then the pound is really going to be in trouble, and we're going to be looking at breaking that 120 level, and how deep the hole is remains to be seen. So there's lots in the mix, lots still to happen. It's going to be another big week for the pound this week. It's going to be very choppy. So if you're trading it on an intraday basis, be very, very careful. This is not a currency that you want to mess around in. It's not a currency you want to start guessing what's going on. So stick to the headlines, take care, keep safe, keep your stops nice and tight, and we'll see where we are this time next week.